Hello my friends, in today's video I'd like to share with you my personal view on a very popular topic, which is switching from larger sensor systems to Micro Four Thirds, and why I think that switching to Micro Four Thirds is not for everyone. And it is also kind of part 3 of my video series about comparing Micro Four Thirds and APS-C systems. In last year or so, there's been a ton of videos where people are explaining how they ditch their full frame cameras and move to Micro Four Thirds and how happy they are with that choice. And these videos are usually very successful because that is kind of what people want to hear, that the smaller user-friendly camera is all they need, which is actually truth in a lot of cases. But in my opinion, there are some reasons why switching to Micro Four Thirds is not for everyone, and there are some things that needs to be considered. The thing is that Micro Four Thirds cameras are really easy to like. The main reason for that is probably that Micro Four Thirds cameras are generally more joyful to use than full frame or APS-C cameras. They are smaller, lighter, both Panasonic and Olympus cameras usually have good controls, and then there are things like image stabilization, lens selection and so on, and these are also the reasons why I really like to use my Panasonic G85. And to a large extent it is that Micro Four Thirds sensor size that allows this. Camera body with Micro Four Thirds sensor can be smaller and lighter, there is more room for controls. The lenses only need to cover small areas, so those can also be smaller. There can be more room to move the sensor inside of the camera, so image stabilization can be more effective. Battery can last longer and so on. But there are some negatives that people who switch to Micro Four Thirds often forget about and that need to be considered in my opinion. The first one is the light gathering capabilities and low light performance. This is hugely misunderstood topic. I have explained this in one of my previous videos, so you can skip this part if you have already seen it. We know that light gathering capability and low light performance is mostly determined by the size of individual pixels on the sensor. That means that 16 megapixel Micro Four Thirds sensor should be roughly as good as 24 megapixel APS-C sensor in low light, because the pixel sizes are pretty similar, but it isn't, and here's why. There are two ways how low light performance can benefit from larger sensor size. First, and the obvious way, is that individual pixels can be larger on bigger sensor if the resolution is the same as with smaller sensor. And the second way is to put in more pixels, therefore have more resolution and compress the noise more when exporting below 100% magnification. And the larger is the resolution of your original picture, the smaller magnification you need to use, and therefore the noise is more compressed and the noise texture is also finer, which is why the final picture looks better. Or you can just use noise reduction and sacrifice some of that extra detail. Please note that this is general assumption and it doesn't take into account sensor technology and other important factors that determine low light capabilities of specific sensors. You can also use speed boosters to enhance low light capabilities of Micro Four Thirds cameras, but that is a separate topic. This brings us to the second thing that needs to be considered, which is the lens selection, because it may not be as good as it seems to be. Here we have two lenses. One is for APS-C cameras and the other is for Micro Four Thirds cameras. The widest aperture on both is f5.3. The difference is that APS-C lens can cover larger area with the light of same per square centimeter or inch intensity, so overall it lets in more light than Micro Four Thirds lens with the same aperture. The Micro Four Thirds lens at f3.5 lets in same total amount of light as APS-C lens at f4.7. This means that there aren't really any especially fast zoom lenses for Micro Four Thirds cameras. Panasonic 12 to 35mm f2.8 only lets in the same overall amount of light as full frame lens at f5.6 or APS-C lens at f3.73. Aperture on different systems also affects the depth of field, but most of users know that. Also worth mentioning is that aspect ratio of Micro Four Thirds is 4:3, which is different than with full frame and APS-C, which are 3:2. So if you want to export 16:9 picture, for example, you will waste more pixels with Micro Four Thirds to do that. But if you want to export 1:1 picture, for example, for Instagram, you will waste less pixels. The third thing that, in my opinion, needs to be considered before switching to Micro Four Thirds is not Micro Four Thirds specific, but it is a common weakness of current Micro Four Thirds cameras, and it is autofocus in video. If you only shoot stills, it is not a concern. Autofocus in stills is actually good with current Micro Four Thirds cameras in good light. In poor light, it gets worse, like with all contrast detection autofocus systems. With exception of Olympus OMD EM1 series, No Micro Four Thirds camera is currently using face detection, and Panasonic said that they don't even plan to use face detection. In video, autofocus is tricky basically with every Micro Four Thirds camera. Some are better than the others. I've made a tutorial on how to get best results with Panasonic G85 autofocus, so you can take a look at that. So overall, would I recommend you to switch to Micro Four Thirds system? Well, that depends on particular situation, budget, and specific cameras that you are looking at, but here are some of my very general and personal assumptions after 10 months of using Micro Four Thirds camera. If you want to have fun while shooting, if you want something really user-friendly, portable, with good feature set, then yes, I would recommend investing in Micro Four Thirds system or spending money on Micro Four Thirds system. If the results are the most important for you and you just want the best possible image quality, then I will generally say no. Full frame and APS-C can generally still provide better image quality, but of course it depends on specific camera. If you are a professional photographer who has to work in different environments and provide constant quality, I will also say no, because full frame and APS-C can give you larger margin for errors by capturing more light in bad conditions, capturing more dynamic range, and giving you more flexibility to recover photos in post. If you are a content creator who makes content for social media, like I am, then I would generally say yes, Micro Four Thirds are generally suitable, but be aware of the limitations. I also suggest to take a look at the option between full frame and Micro Four Thirds, which is the APS-C. APS-C is my personal favorite system. Mirrorless APS-C cameras are still very portable, sometimes even more portable than Micro Four Thirds cameras, especially Sony A6000 series. And the newest APS-C sensors like the 24.2 megapixel Sony sensors in A6000 series, newer Nikon APS-C cameras, and Fujifilm X-mount cameras, and so on. The Nikon 20.9 megapixel sensor in D5500 and D7500. Also Canon's new 24 megapixel sensor used in 80D or 200D still perform better than 16 and 20 megapixel Micro Four Thirds sensors. And with the right lenses like Sigma 18-35 f1.8, the results are so good that in majority of applications, with the exception of large prints, the difference between full frame and APS-C is not even visible. Bottom line is that Micro Four Thirds also provides really good results. I've taken a lot of pictures with Micro Four Thirds camera that I personally like, and the usability is often as important or sometimes even more important than the performance, and Micro Four Thirds cameras are really very good in this regard. So that's it for this video. Thank you for watching. I hope that you liked this video and that you have found it to be useful. Stay tuned for more videos and maybe consider subscribing if you don't want to miss my future content. I appreciate your feedback in form of thumbs up or thumbs down. If you'd like to ask anything or share your opinion, please do so in the comment section, and see you next time.